Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come be live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. So, got a couple people watching already tonight. And good evening. First of all, is out there, barbecues out there, and we'll dig in. Let's see. So, I was going to chat about this drawing I was making the other day, but then I just got a thing on eBay from, what am I going to do? I guess I'll go to eBay. I got a note from eBay in the mail where I guess because somebody could tell you looked at something, I guess they can tell when you look at your, I didn't know that. I don't get an alert when people look at my auctions. But somebody seen that I looked at their auction and it was like a $19 thing. And they're like, oh, wait a minute, if you like that, I'll sell it to you for $17. And now I'm thinking, what am I doing all this for? I could do this instead and make probably a bunch of money selling these little $17 things for $19. Let me switch this over here. Boom. So this is 1/64th scale, which makes it the size of a Matchbox car, right? But it's remote controlled, so you drive it around because it's a real dump truck. Where is this? Scroll out or what? I guess there's only these pictures. So it looks like a little Matchbox car, but underneath of it, it's remote controlled, and you can dump the thing and drive it around and dump the load out. So they make them in 3 different modes. They make, oh, there's 4 different modes. There's a cement truck also, which is boring. Nobody wants that. But you can get an excavator, you can get the dump truck, and then you can get a crane. And each one of them does stuff. Like the remote control moves stuff like the bucket and the dump. So you could literally, I've seen YouTube channels where people drive these things around in sandboxes. You make a ton of money because people look at that and they go, what? You can buy these things and they're less than $20? So I went over here and looked, and well, this is a different one because these are selling for $14. No wonder this guy wants to sell it to me for 17. So I looked at this one because I was like, how much do these things cost? I seen them and I wondered how much they cost, right? And it costs like $19. So anyway, I guess I looked at this one and then I went over to someplace else and looked at something else because I was just looking around. I guess they got fire trucks and police stuff too. But yeah, so somehow they knew I looked at their auction and then they go, oh, if you're interested, I'll sell it to you for 17, which is basically the buy 3 price. And now that I put, it's making change in here, it's probably telling the guy I was fiddling with the cart, so now he's going to bug me even more. So then this place, I think, was out of the dump truck. So for whatever reason, they're out of their dump truck, but they got the excavator. So yeah, I thought about it for like 4 seconds and then quit thinking about it. But yeah, how cool would it be to have, I mean, I seen a thing where these people, you can get everything, semi-trucks, trains, buses, all kinds of construction stuff, I guess fire trucks and things like that. So I seen like things on YouTube where people will have to like take a bunch of sand with the end loader and load it into a dump truck and then take that over and dump it into another thing and then put it on a train. And then there's like forklifts. So they have like all these different, I don't know, obstacle courses that they run with these tiny little remote control cars. They only last for, I think they charge for 10 minutes and they run for 8. So it's not like you're playing with them for hours at a time. But for $15, you could have a few and play with one and then let it recharge and play with another, right? So I guess they got fire truck ones. Those are pretty dumb. But there's some SWAT ones that are neat. We used to play with little race car versions of these when we were at AOL and at Microsoft, I guess. And because they would just come out with these kind of things. and they were about the same price, $5-10. They didn't cost much, and the base station charges them, and it's the remote control at the same time. So we could just keep a couple of these things in our desk and then race them around on the floor or whatever on that carpet, and it was fun. But I think it'd be funner to have these things were fast. They were kind of hard to race or hard to play with because they were racing all the time. But you can gear them down, and that's where those construction ones would be more fun, I think. Well, look, this one would be fun. Holy moly, they got a big crane. I didn't know that one. You got to be careful, though. These things jump up into the bigger scale real quick. Oh, 1/82nd scale. You know, that was a scale. 1/82nd, that's got to be tiny. It's not remote control. It's just a toy. So there's also just stupid Matchbox cars. Anyway, yeah, that would be fun to have like well, I don't think a regular sandbox would work, but having like a sandbox full of really fine sand for something. They make really fine sand for stuff. You know, having some of that would be fun. Anyway, yeah, I think I could probably buy $25 or $30 worth of remote control cars and then just run around playing remote control cars. Probably make a lot more money on the YouTube channel because YouTube would pay you for those videos, and you'd get hobby stores falling all over themselves to be part of those videos. And then you could sell them stupid little things. You could buy them for $17 and put some kind of decal on them and resell them for 25, make $6, make more than that than you would on a t-shirt or anything else. So if you're looking for a strategy, how to make some money, that's how you make some money. Go buy a toy and play with it. And other people want to play with it. You can do both if you want to only half-ass both of them, right? I'm just not interested in half-assing the 2A stuff. I half-ass it as it is, and but not. I'm just talking shit. I just thought it was interesting that they could look at your, I guess I don't know what to call it, like your search history or something. Like I said, I sell stuff on eBay. I sell stuff on eBay since the 90s. And I didn't know I could tell when somebody was looking at my stuff. Maybe there's a window I don't open or something. Also, I don't think I care if somebody looks at my stuff. I guess I could track down everybody that looked at my stuff on eBay. I don't know if Angelina sells stuff on eBay or not. Bob's out there. There's the link if anybody wants to jump in. I'm looking for a photo over here. Gotta figure out where I put it. I think I put it over here. So the other day I was working on on the tree again, and I figured that's what I dig into right now. So I was like, figure out which one I'm supposed to open here. Oh, I guess this one is probably bigger. Open it in photos. That's the one. So this just looks at it. All right. So now we can my screen share. Yeah. So this is that thing I've been working on over there and rearranging it. Oh, yeah, that works pretty good. So started out with the dates over here. I stuck them on the left though. So if we scroll back out, right, they're going up and down the left now instead of right down the middle. I might change this still. I don't know. It's tough to, there's not enough balance to really put this in the middle though. Anyway, it starts with the Second Amendment. I added the Militia Acts. So we have them starting in 1792, then 1892 or 62. Then 1903 and 1916, and I guess we quit having them. The orange stuff is the Supreme Court decisions, and you can see they kind of happen, and then nothing really happens until the 90s. And then we got all these brown ones are the laws, and then the red ones are bans, national bans. So that worked out to put those going up chronologically or whatever. And this rectangle that you can't really see because it's all in a white background is 18 by 24. Angelina, you can print an 18 by 24 now?
I can, yes, on all kinds of crazy papers.
Okay, that's my next question. So it can be on different types of material. It's not like the paper has to match the printer or the ink or anything?
Well, I mean, there is like kinds, like I guess, kinds of materials, whatever, but for the inkjet, there's, I mean, tons of different papers.
Okay, and then that would be like thicknesses or glossinesses and like those kind of qualities.
Yes, I think it ranges from anywhere from like a newsprint type quality to like to like a fine art print.
And some of that has to do with like longevity of the color too or something, right? Like I was seeing something about somebody that was printing cheap and then expensive. He's like the expensive ones have a little bit more detail, like the printers are finer, but like the material, the thing that you're left with will last longer with the better papers and better inks and something.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of like so the ink makes a difference, paper makes a difference, the profile at which you're using, which is the head spraying ink at the paper, like how it's mixing all that and everything, that all makes a difference in longevity. But like my well, I guess you haven't seen it yet, but I guess it's a large format inkjet printer. So it's actually okay, the sticker printer.
And that's not inkjet. That's something different.
It's kind of an inkjet. But it's an EcoSalt ink, but like that blue printer. So this new printer for the posters is bigger than that printer.
Like physically, it's got more. It's a larger machine.
Yeah, it's like so. Okay, so I know this printer's getting there on a certain day or whatever, right? So me and my sister like clearing it out. We did all this shit. We got it ready, and the printer shows up. And the guy's like, oh, like he comes to the door first and has me sign for it. And then he's like, okay, let me get the printer. So I thought, oh, that's weird. Why don't you just bring it at the same time? Anyway, I saw why. Because it was on like a fucking pallet, dude. So it's this gigantic printer. It's like, I don't know. It's wide, but it's also like thick. So it just takes up a shit ton of room. But it's all, but it,
The robot was?
no, it's oh, so I changed like everything around in that area, but it's basically now it's where my second cutter was. Like I have these shelves that do like an L kind of thing now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's crazy in there.
Like
But
along, like what next to where your computer was.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
All right, so then, well, do you just have a bunch of paper then, or you just source paper when you get a project? It's not like vinyl where you got like pretty much a vinyl white or something, and you can just stockpile a bunch of white because everybody wants the same vinyl. This is for printing. It's like some people are going to go, oh, I need it on XYZ paper or whatever, or have you encountered that yet? Or what do you do for paper?
Well, so I had planned to be printing more stuff with it by now, but I've had a lot of stuff going on, so I've kind of backseated the whole thing. So I have one paper on hand, like it comes in a roll. So it's like
Oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Because I was thinking, what do you have, like a giant like map drawers of different types of papers? It makes more sense if it's on a roll, and then you just.
Oh my god, yeah, that'd be crazy. No, this thing, I wish you could like come over tomorrow and see this thing work. So it's freaking gigantic, number one, but it also automatically.
You need to drive to California overnight. It takes 8 hours to get there, so.
Yeah, it's only 8 hours. It's quick. So it cuts the paper too, because it does borderless printing. Like it'll print the entire paper, like to the effing edge, which is like.
Can it cut the edges? And like, if it's 24 inches wide and you need 18, will it just cut it down to 18?
So what it does is it like prints a little bit, slices it off, and then starts printing, but it prints edge to edge. So the roll is like 24 inches wide by like, I don't know, 100 yards or whatever. It's like a big roll. And then
oh, well, for this poster, I could print it sideways then. If it's 24 inches wide, I can do an 18 by 24 poster sideways and just cut it every 18 inches.
Yeah, that's how I've been doing it. So it's kind of weird how it works. Like, so this thing, it'll print a poster and then it slices it. And then it starts printing another poster. So like you got to grab them, as they're coming off. And so icing on the cake with all this, I went on this like kind of road trip and bought all this stuff. I ended up finding a laminator. So now I can laminate the posters that I print too.
Oh yeah, that's very cool. So the same way as you were doing the stickers, but bigger for this.
Yeah, but this is hot. It's a hot laminator. So it laminates front and back.
How'd you get that? Or is that what you brought that vehicle to get it home with?
Wait, what?
How'd you get that home? Isn't that huge?
I put it in my car.
Oh, okay.
I mean, so the laminator I got a super, like, so it was a Facebook Marketplace deal, right? And I love when those come up and they're not like shitty. So this laminator that's like $1,200 or whatever, and they're always like freaking expensive. This woman wanted $200 for it, and she was kind of far though. She was like 2.5 hours away, but it was such a good deal that I was like, I gotta get it. I gotta like make the drive. So I was also looking for a big paper cutter too. You know the ones that photographers use, the rotary ones that it's like you're sliding a cartridge, I guess.
That's what I got. I got a tiny one, but yeah, it's like a pizza cutter on a slider.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But it's on like a track kind of thing, like a big one.
Yeah.
So those also freaking expensive.
Right. And that's the other part. You could have 24 inches all day long, but if you can't deal with a 24-inch piece of paper, then what are you cutting it with scissors? Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I already know from like the vinyl stuff, because when I was like running this, like the idea by some people, they're like, oh, you only need a printer. It's like, nope, I need a paper cutter, because you absolutely cannot like 24-inch cut with scissors and make it look good. At least I know I can't. Like, I've known this for years. So I ended up finding this like $900 paper cutter on Facebook Marketplace for $100 too. And it was like on the way back from getting the laminator.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So it's super sweet. So yeah, I can print the poster, trim it, and laminate it and ship it.
And then you're shipping them in tubes, rolling it.
Yeah, but I haven't been shipping that many yet. Like, I did a run of posters for it was actually like I guess a joke target, like a funny target. So I did a run of 50 of those, and we just shipped them in a the triangle flat rate tube thing.
Okay, so that was the question. So 50 of them rolled up fit into one of them triangles?
Yeah. Okay. I think it was like 40 or 50 of them. They fit in there.
And then is that even economical? Because that's a target is like, people aren't going to expect much for a target, I would. Or is this more like a poster joke?
It was like a hang it in your man cave poster.
Yeah. Not like shoot it, dispose of it.
No, I mean, I guess you could shoot it. Like, maybe you shoot it and hang it up. Like, but it's definitely something you buy and display, not like I'm gonna take this to the range and
leave it in the garden.
Yeah, leave it there.
What's the time? So obviously depends on how much stuff is happening, but like, does it print like a regular piece of paper, or does it take an hour?
It's quick. It's real quick. It's quicker than you think it would be.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not like instant, because obviously it's like an inkjet, but it's real quick.
All right. Well, then I just went off of Teespring. So Teespring is just like, what's the other thing? Spreadshirt, where it's print on demand or whatever. It's just that it's the one that YouTube connects with. So if you want to connect, I guess at some point they deem you like able to have like a Teespring account or connect your Teespring account with your YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. So I did that one day and I'm like, oh, sure, I'll connect that. and I stuck some shirts over there, and they got posters over there. So I went with their poster sizes, which were 18 by 24, and I think, is it 24 by 48? I guess it could be. So that would be a massive poster, but that would be, I guess, for like a store, a big room or something where you need a giant thing. But it sounds like if your stuff's on a roll 24, you could accommodate 24 by 18 by just slicing it at 18 inches. Or if I made one 24 by 48 for some reason, it would just be massive. But you could do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And then does the laminator go 24? Or is it 18?
The laminator is like, it's either 26 or 25.
Oh, okay. And then
Weird.
the laminator cut? Or trim, I guess, the edges?
Yeah, the laminator doesn't trim the edges. You have to trim it by hand. You can't stick at least the laminate that I have right now. I realized you can't stick it through the trimmer because it's too thin to catch the cutter wheel or something. You just gotta trim with scissors.
And then so that's neat. So then the other thing would be, I don't know, I got this thing, and like I was saying, I got the times going up the left, and my dilemma is to make it seem useful as, standing away from a distance aside, and once it's up close. So I don't know, originally it was a tree, started with this being the trunk of the tree and then branching off, and the branches had no rhyme or reason other than to branch off from the main trunk of the tree, like at an appropriate time chronologically or something. But I had like the NRA over on the left or the GOA on the right, and there was really no rhyme or reason. Every once in a while, somebody like Neil Knox is involved in one thing, and then many years later, he's involved in something else. So originally, I had tried to place people like that near the multiple entities, like Marion Hammer or whatever is connected with NRA, but she was on the scene first, I guess. So, it's not necessary. There's only a couple of places like that where it could be kind of useful to have the branches allow me to move things like that. But otherwise, the branches didn't really tell too much. And I evolved the branches going out to just a head, to putting a circle behind them, and then those circles looked weird. So I changed the circles to the shape of the state that it's associated with, which I guess gets more information across and looks, I think, better. And then the colors, there's a key down here that represent what the colors are, but basically like green means it's a state level organization, purple means it's like a collector or area of interest like that. The gray or whatever color that is like just kind of universal 2A. The yellow are like individuals doing their thing, either writers or just people like Eleanor Roosevelt who ran around with her own CCW back in the 50s with a revolver, I think. Because she didn't want to have Secret Service, she just said, fuck it, I'm going to just carry my gun around and be what I want. Anyway, so people like that, they're just doing their own thing, are in yellow. So then I've got chronologically, right? So none of this stuff just happened in a big line, so it's easy, right? So I've got the colors that designate like their focus and the dates that tell us when, but and the shapes, the states, I guess, tell us where. But trying to get it to fit with this timeline was about impossible because this stuff doesn't happen like every 50 years or every 5 years or nothing. It just comes in fits and starts. And then when you look at, by the time I got everything readjusted to where the heads and the states and everything were kind of all similar sizes, even though it doesn't really look like it anymore. I technically tried to get everything kind of, be proportionally the same. It ends up where there's just a lot more stuff recently than there was back in the day. So it just doesn't line up. So I ended up kind of squishing stuff. And what you get is sort of these branches that come off from the left to the right and kind of in the decades. So we start out with the 1800s, then you get the 1900s, then the 1910s, the 1950s, the 1970s, coming up here to the 1980s, the 90s, 2000. There's quite a bit of stuff that happens in the 2000s. So there's like 3 different rows there. Then you got like the 2000 to 2010 kind of era. And then this top couple of rows are like 2015 and on. So then I go from the left to the right, 8, 10, 11, 12, and kind of branching off to the right, you go from, whatever, the teen to the 9, or from 0 to 5, or from 5 to 10. And then the colors, I was able to shove all the state stuff kind of in a color row here. It worked out here for the states focused organizations, sort of all came out. The female focused organizations all worked. And then the safety level or safety focused kind of worked out, although there's a couple of them that were, if I didn't, I don't know. So I'm still trying to figure out how to arrange it. And I don't think like branching, like sticking some kind of a branch out here to draw lines would accomplish much. So I don't know. I'm just, although this is a version of the thing, I don't think this is done. I think there's still something missing. So anyway, I'm looking for feedback on that. And then, of course, at some point, I want to print it out just to see what it looks like. So I wanted to chat with you just to find out, if I printed one of these, what's all involved. So it sounds like I know a lot more about that now. As far as colors and stuff, is it the same as before? Like the gray is the annoying one, or is that an issue?
To be honest, I don't really know yet. Like, it seems to print pretty much everything pretty nice. It's a different type of ink than the sticker thing.
We were different, like application. Like the other one is trying to blow ink as a cloud, and then it has to like chemically react or something. Where this is probably some sort of different process. So things like how some of these I have a shadow, it kind of pops off the screen a little bit. Like that would have been a problem for some printers, like doing that weird gradient or whatever that would be called.
Yeah. Well, this, like the quality that comes out of this printer is pretty high. I would describe it as like probably like a home photo printer on a lot of steroids. Like for instance, at a college, if you were at a college printing your photography projects, you'd probably print it on this thing. So it prints pretty nice. Like I think like it has a good range of colors and stuff. I saw a bunch of like photo prints that it did that were very nice. The things I've done so far, which have just been like weird educational posters and like inappropriate things, have been pretty good.
And the link out here again. Ozzy's saying, I know what Ozzy had talked about. I think Ozzy was one of the people when I was trying to find a printer for the book who had mentioned something, but now he's saying I have a couple of videos from the printing that I do. Headset web printing.
I actually was going to go to this basically college again for sign and print. And that's one of the things they would teach you about there.
What's that?
The headset web printing.
What does that mean then? Is that
I don't know. I didn't get to go because Corona happened, and I don't really want to go to Corona college because it's all online. That seems stupid.
Is it it was a physical college, so like you went to it?
Yeah, well, I was gonna go to it in fall semester. The Los Angeles, it's like Los Angeles Technical School or something, where they have a sign drawing, stuff like that. So I figured I'd do night school and get that knowledge done.
I took when I was in school still. I took some kind. I can't remember. It was some kind of class on. It was in the like printing trade like curriculum or whatever. It just seemed interesting to me, and it was something like lettering, and it was basically sign lettering, but in a for I don't want to say CAD CAM. Anyway, it was whatever it was. It lasted like another week and a half because it was like literally learning how to draw different fonts and stuff with pens and like rulers and things, like actually drawing them, because back in the day you had to draw everything and then take a picture of it. There was no computer to like, mock things up or create. So it was like all this stuff on how to like use these different techniques and things to create things like shadows and all this stuff. And it was all super interesting. But then like 15 minutes later, the Macintoshes came out and nobody cared at all about any of that stuff. So it might still apply for sure. And somebody probably still uses it, but I felt like, oh, I just learned something that's like learning how to put together a horse and buggy or something. But now I kind of wonder. Anyway, I only took the one class. I didn't really pursue it because even at the time I could tell like this is archaic. Like this stuff isn't like a computer can do all of this in 15 minutes, and it would have taken us less time to learn the software than what we did all semester or whatever.
That's one of like the sign lettering, hand lettering, stuff like that. That's one of the classes they teach at the technical college for the sign program.
That's what I'm kind of wondering. Like some of that stuff they might have been teaching it to us on old techniques, but the stuff they were teaching still applies, right? It's still needed.
Yeah, well, I know so when I first started going to college, I went for graphic design. And I know from that, because they would teach us, like we were required to take pretty like low level basic classes, like stuff where it's like, I don't do this, I wouldn't do that. And it was more about like the design foundations, I guess, like to what you were doing rather than the what you were doing. Like we had like a photo editing class or something, but it was super low level. But basically what you're supposed to learn from it was like the adjusting the levels and stuff, like the more intricate aspects of Photoshop rather than the editing a picture to look good.
Yeah, like how to use the tools, not like creating fine art with the tools.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like I know the shit, I forgot where I was going. The hand lettering is big again. Like that's coming back. That's like a thing again. Because there's even like people will hire you to do hand lettering on signs and stuff.
You mean like literally with paint and a ruler, like do it for me at my shop, or make it by hand and then I'm going to digitally use that as my logo?
Oh, like come in my shop and hand letter my wall, or
that requires somebody to come in with a paintbrush. You don't like outsource that. You have to be the artist, or you have to hire other artists or something. It's not like $50 an hour and I'll do it for you online, and then you've got the file and you just want that look or whatever.
Yeah, and a whole other thing, I just remembered a whole other aspect. It's like getting hot right now, are personalized fonts, like a personalized font for your company, and like learning to hand letter would totally help you with that.
Yeah, exactly. And like again, knowing what's like the elements of a font, like serifs and whatever, like knowing what all the pieces are called, so that you know what to change or whatever to make it what for Caterpillar Trailer or for Disney or whatever, like to give a font that reflects their whatever. And then I guess you also have to know a shit ton about fonts so that you're actually making something unique and you're not just literally copying something that already exists, right, and giving it a new name or something.
Yeah, like a personalized stylized font, like Ford, the Ford logo, for instance. That's not a font. That's their own font. So like, getting something developed like that, or even developing something like that. Like there's this thing you can download where it's just a sheet and you write the letter in and then you scan it and it creates a font for you. And I've always wanted to do that. But like you said, there's so many aspects to like a font, like measurements and like kerning and all that, that's like part of it. That's like, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. But Philo in the chat said a thing, sign painters make a killing. You'd be surprised at what people pay to have old signs restored. Yeah, a dude I know restores old neon signs, and holy shit, what people pay that guy to restore old neon signs is crazy.
he's having to like heat up and bend glass to replicate and then fill it with the right kind of gas and stuff though.
Yeah, like with the little tube, are you like blowing in it?
Yeah. So that's, I mean, that's probably obviously it's something you can learn, but that's also like you got to have the gases and get the knowledge somewhere. So that's, I could see somebody getting paid for that. That's not just quite going to the store and buying some paint and doing it, right? That's a little bit more tough than that. But on the other hand, blowing glass ain't that hard. I mean, hippies do it all the time, making pipes and bongs and stuff, and scientists do it without even thinking. Like they're constantly, every time they need a new apparatus, they'll just turn on a Bunsen burner and whip out. You know, it's totally, it's like making rubber balloons for animals or something. Once you know how to do it, you can just do it.
Oh yeah, it's super. I mean, it's cool to watch, but once you like know the nuances and whatnot, you're probably good to go.
Yeah, I know a couple of people that did glass stuff because I used to buy glass at U of A. They would sell all their stuff at auction. I ended up buying glass because it was cool. I ended up meeting people that did all kinds of stuff. So like I used to ask them why there's so many of these just straight pieces of glass, just straight. They're just, they're open on both ends. They're just tubes of glass, and that's why they just, they turn on a Bunsen burner, heat it up, bend it around. There's a certain amount of knowing, tricks or whatever, but yeah, if they need to make some piece of glass, just like plumbing or something, like if they need to have something go up and over and around, they'll just bend a piece of glass to do it. And they don't have to worry about any connections or pipes if they got acid or whatever pressure going through it. They don't have any connections. Anyway, so, we got all around. So I'm still definitely interested in looking at that poster. We'll chat too about the stickers for the patch batch thing, because we hit a couple of stretch goals. So I need to find out, we're talking a lot of stickers though, so I need to figure out where you're at with time and maybe like how to arrange them to get the best bang for the buck or something. Anyway, and then I was trying to figure out if there's a way to get out there and, yeah, I wanted to see that big printer and stuff, and just get to LA again. You're saying that LA is pretty, I don't want to say empty, but it's less traffic than normal all the time. Like day and night, there's less people running around doing stuff.
Yeah, I would say it's probably about like 75%.
75% of normal.
Yeah. Like there's
normal enough, but any amount less would seem interesting. Is there still rush hours and stuff?
kinda like there's still a rush hour, but it's not as bad. Like today I drove from Simi to where I live, which usually in rush hour could take me 35 minutes, and it took me 20, which is pretty good.
And that's, you mean you probably couldn't get there less than 20 at the middle of the night when there was no cars on. That would take a certain amount of time just to drive that anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would probably take me about, I'd say, maybe 15 minutes if I was like really going quick. But I mean, 20 minutes is good. That's like hardly any stopping. There wasn't like when a light turned green, I actually went through that intersection. I didn't get caught at another red light. So, and it's pretty good. I was downtown last week during rush hour, and I mean, it was busy, but it wasn't, I would say it was probably like some other small town that's big. It's rush hour, but not LA. Like it's like Lincoln, Nebraska's rush hour.
Now, how about things being open? Is it not crowded because people are just choosing to stay home, or is it because nothing's open? Like here, I'm sure it's empty at 8 o'clock because I think everything in Arizona closes at 8 p.m. now.
Yeah, there's not a lot of stuff open. I mean, there's like stores and stuff, but extras, non-essentials, especially in LA, because Daddy Garcetti has us shut down pretty quickly all the time. And everything is mask required in LA.
Yeah, I think that's here too. So restaurants and things are not open, or is it like just for takeout? Like there's no going out and hanging out anywhere anymore.
In LA County, I know it's at least takeout. In Ventura County, it's outdoor seating. But out here, I don't know if there's like patio dining. But in Ventura County, that's outdoor seating, so you could sit on patio or whatever.
What's Ventura County then?
Like where my mom and my sister live.
Okay, so up over that hill would be another
Yeah.
county that goes to the hill. And then is San Bernardino a county, or like are the counties big out there? Because I've been to places where the counties are hardly bigger than the towns.
Yeah, so San Bernardino is its own county. I'm not sure what they're doing. Same with Orange. I'm not sure what they're doing either. But
Did you say San Bernardino is its own county?
yeah, San Bernardino is county.
So when I think of LA, I think of that whole area. So I'm really thinking of like probably 5 or 6 counties altogether, like all that stuff, all the populated area, almost all the way down to San Diego and all around Simi and just everything that's populated there until you get to deserts and stuff. That's like a whole bunch
Oh
of
yeah,
counties.
there's a lot of counties.
And then like,
Yeah.
is it Palm Springs and stuff? That's probably a whole other county.
Yeah, Palm Springs is either San Bernardino County or Indio County.
Oh, Indio.
Or Riverside.
Indio is that lake down there. I saw a thing. What the hell was I watching? I was watching something. Was it about Vegas? Or I think it was about Vegas and building the dam. And then it talked about something. And they talked about how I guess they intentionally tried to fill up that lake one time, and then they're like, whoops, and then it like flowed in there for like 20 years or something and really made it really big. And then anyway, so now I still can't remember it all. But anyway, I'm fascinated by that damn Salton Sea down there. Every time I think I'm done paying attention to it, I find some new YouTube video that goes into some other like prehistory of it or some other aspect of it. So now I'm really interested in going there again and going to the west side of it instead of the east side of it and looking across from the west side, kind of in those foothills.
Oh yeah, there's it's a pretty interesting area down there.
Yeah, and then like I say, I'd have to watch the videos again, but the Colorado keeps moving around and creating sandbars and stuff. So I just kind of want to go down there and look at it from that angle. I drove through that sand, not thinking about it being the accumulation of sand from the Colorado or anything. You think of it, I don't know. I just don't know what I thought about it. But anyway, and then also north of where you're at seems interesting. So if I was going to drive to California again, I think I would drive up around the Salton Sea, like I say, on the west side. I can't get enough of those windmills and stuff in that area, so I don't have a problem driving through there. And I keep missing them dinosaurs. I never actually stopped to look at them dinosaurs. And then come up, do whatever in LA, and then on the way out, go north of where you're at I never have gone north of those mountains to where all the airplane history is. And is it Barstow, California? There's some like ghost town out there somewhere that you can go to where I think it's a state park or some kind of thing now where you can't just run wild. There's like people there maintaining it, but it's also just abandoned. I can't think of the name of the town now, but
Calico?
anyway, doesn't sound like that, but it's a big old abandoned gold mine town, I guess, probably. I thought it was Barlow. I might be confusing it with something else because, like I said, I've watched a bunch of stuff about the Salton Sea. Whenever I watch stuff, is that the name of like a ghost town where you kind of drive up near it and then you walk down into it? And it sounds like there must be some sort of like park ranger station or something. You got to pay to be there, but they're also not bothering you. You just walk around and do what you want there. There's no ropes or anything. You can just look around, and it's, I guess, like a portion of a giant town that used to be there back in the when we just got electricity kind of days.
I feel like this is Calico because it's kind of near Barstow, and you definitely have to pay to get
and
it.
all I seen is YouTube videos, so they could have been calling it whatever they think it is and not what it actually is. It's like I said, I didn't look it up, but whenever I saw it, I was thinking, dang, that's another reason to ditch into California again.
Was it Ludlow?
Could be. But no, it wasn't a very long name. I think I had heard about it because I had heard the name before and I never thought about the town. And I was like, oh, dang, I thought it was a real town. And it turns out it's an old ghost town. Like it was a town back in the day. Maybe it was in a song or something. And I never thought about it. And what's all this about? Santa Barbara, take you full access to a gun collection and ammo supply.
Oh, Santa Barbara.
What's Santa Barbara? Is that San Diego?
No, it's a little bit above where I'm at, like an hour above where I'm at.
Oh, okay. So that's going more towards San Francisco.
Yeah, like, did you go to Oxnard?
I've been there one time, but I only went there at night in the fog, so I kind of was technically there, but I didn't see nothing, I don't think.
I mean, it's pretty much all there is to see. Santa Barbara is like 30 minutes past Oxnard, maybe.
I feel like, wasn't that a drama that my grandma watched back in the day? I feel like there's a lot of drama happening in Santa Barbara.
Could be. I think it was on the Rockford Files a lot.
I want to like end up getting married and then having to get divorced right away and having to pay like matrimony or something.
Go do it in Santa Barbara.
But I'm also not really rolling in money. So anyway, just fantasy trip to California. So I'm trying to figure out. It would be neat to check out that machine though, and to see you got a little puppy there now, huh?
Yeah, well, he's big now.
Well, you keep posting pictures of little tiny puppies, so those are like flashback pictures, then I guess.
Well, so you know how I went on a road trip. So when we came back, he was huge. Like he had a growth spurt. He's basically like a real size dog now. So he's actually maybe 3 or 4 inches longer than the other white one at this point. He's just not as like wide as she is because he's still like thin and puppy.
Crazy. Well, that's going to happen, especially when they're in the midst of like doing their growth, right? They grow in like months. So if you miss, I guess, weeks, huh? Then there's going to be like a jump.
Yeah, now I told my sister now she has to get a new puppy because I feel like I didn't have enough puppy time with him. So just get a new one so we can restart it.
Get rid of that one or get an additional?
No, keep him. Just add another one in. I mean, how much of a difference is there between 3 dogs and 4 dogs, really?
No, there's hardly any, especially when 2 of them are puppies. That's basically like having, each one's a half, so it's like having 2 dogs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then by the time they're older, the other one calms down, so it's like only having a portion of a dog. So at the most, you only ever have like 2.5 dogs.
Yeah. I mean, even with the 3, it's really only the one, the puppy, that's like a pain in the ass because he's a puppy. And then the other 2 are like, well, the one's old and doesn't give a shit about anything. He's just chilling. And then the other white one, she'll play with the puppy, but then she's not bad anymore. So, I mean, adding a 4th one in, it's no big deal, I think.
I don't think the metric system got anywhere. Dogs, none. Cats, however. Not sure. I was thinking about getting a cat, but I don't like it. But you can't leave with a cat. You have to give it to somebody every time you travel or whatever. I want to travel with a dog and a cat.
Yeah.
What?
To bring it with you, turn it into a road trip cat.
Well, I don't mind. I have had a cat before on driving trips or whatever, so I understand that does work. But I wouldn't want a dog and a cat. It's like it was more of like a one or the other. Seemed like the cat was a little different. You had to keep doors closed all the time and with a little harness on her and stuff. But she was okay. She grew up doing it, but and that's well when we were road tripping, that's all she did ever. She grew up doing it, so she was okay with it. And then we never did it again. So I don't know if she would have been able to do it again without running away all the damn time. You know, it's a cat. But yeah, you just don't have that with a dog.
Yeah, cats are kind of.
You can definitely pile cats on. If you got one cat, you might as well have like 3 cats, I guess. There's no difference, right? Cats are like fish. I mean, if you got a fish tank, who cares how many fish are in it? If you got a cat litter thing, I don't know how many cats will fit in there. 8. You can have like 8 cats in there. I think we got like 6 different conversations going.
Oh, in the chat?
Yeah. We need to surrender and adopt the metrics. That's crazy. We both have metric for our bullets and then regular for everything else.
I use a lot of metric, but I don't want to.
I don't have to use it hardly ever. I have to convert from it, I guess. Is that what you're talking about? Because the hatch people are constantly metric. But I'm getting used to like 100 metrics is 3 inches or 4 inches or whatever. Got my little stick here. Yeah, 100 metrics is 4 inches. 75 metrics is 30 inches. So it's not too hard to do the conversion. It keeps us smarter because we are able to, and it keeps our minds flexible by doing the conversion.
It does.
It's too easy. You just look at your hands all the time. Oh, 7. Oh, 9. You know, it's just too easy.
I also remember 3 because it's 76.2, like 76.2. So
Oh, snap. Okay. I haven't looked at that before.
that's my little 3 millimeter to inches reminder. But I mean, I don't like using it, but I have to use it all the time.
Yeah, I don't mind. There's a couple of things where I've seen it be useful, but for I guess under an inch, it can be more handy than trying to do 8s and quarters and stuff. But I'm just too used to drill bits and nuts and bolts and stuff that I don't know. I can see stuff in 1/4 inch or whatever easier than I can see it in whatever the how millimeters that is. But I can understand the way people like it. But I'm not gonna. I just use that as the title. Clickbait. Get the metric clicks today.
Trigger bait.
But anyway, looking back at this poster here, I can't spend a million years on it because it's just one element. But part of the 2A history project is to help conceptualize the scope, the proportion of people that have been doing stuff, and to do it in some sort of a system, ideally, so that as I discover more and can add more to it, there's it's adaptable or whatever the word is. Like I can do that. So I'm not trying to build something super rigid. I have not come up with everyone who has. This is just a growing list. So as far as the whatever, like it I don't know. It doesn't look, I don't think, great. It doesn't look maybe horrible, but it doesn't, from the distance or whatever, there's no rhyme or reason. It just looks like basically random chaos or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of something going on over here, but I just can't figure out how to get that. I don't know what it's called, the transition between having it be useful here and then once you're in here. Now, for some of them, I've got, I don't know, when there's like a title of, or when there's a book like this next to a guy, that pretty much gets the point across. When there's a organization and the people, I think that gets the point across. But since I've printed this out, and it can, this is not, I can get pretty, this is pretty big. These aren't small. I can definitely read all this writing. I could go in and add people's names. I could write stuff out. And that's what sort of the goal was too, is to, once I figured out the scale and everything, figure out what I can add so that instead of wondering who this is, right in here, Harriet Tubman, did a bunch of hard ass shit with a gun back in the days before the NRA even existed, right? Ida is the chick who said rifle in every home or something, right? Bill is guy started a cartridge collecting, but nobody's going to know that by looking at these. So I thought I would have like a little blurb for each one if it would fit, and I think it'll fit. At least you'll be able to read it as a poster. But when you get out to this view, this is more like the either when it's smaller, like when it's going to be the front page of the 50 states book, or just when somebody looks at it from a distance, you're not going to have the opportunity, the ability to read the little paragraphs. So out here, I thought there might be a way to arrange it or to do something where just, again, from this distance or from this perspective of it, you get information from it. And that's where the idea, I guess, to put the colors and stuff was. But whatever the structure or the arrangement doesn't have any function yet or shape, rhyme or reason. So I guess I was thinking if I considered this to be the center again, what if I started moving like all the authors to one side and all the, some group over here and then some group over here. Of course, they didn't make themselves, they didn't like think of this ahead of time, how tough it was going to be for me to make a poster. So they just decided to start their organizations and write their books whenever they felt like it throughout time. So it doesn't lend itself to being a very interesting look and arrangement. I've tried it. Now that I've got it set up like this, I can literally pick people up and move them around as little entities. So I've tried a couple of different ways so far, but since nothing has been perfect, I've just gone with this sort of first arrangement I came up with, or this like I'm calling it the standard. But anyway, so I don't know if anybody's got any suggestions or can put any suggestions out there. I'd be interested.
What did you design this in?
An Illustrator. It's an Illustrator.
So it's all vectors?
Oh yeah. It's every single one of these is a layer. All these words are a layer, the dates are a layer, but then like this would be like a layer with the color, a layer with the lines grouped, a layer with the color, layer with the lines grouped, right? So 3 dudes are 6 layers, and then layer. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever layers grouped together, one group on a layer. So there's a layer that once you dig into it, it becomes more. So it's a massive file.
Yes, how big is that file?
It takes forever to save and just to open. It's massive. I don't do stuff good. I just do it. But I figured that was the only way to get it like this. I can always, from here, I can always do something like simplify it down, group it and what is that called? Extract or whatever, and simplify them and save it maybe, or make it a PDF or something if I had to. But right now it's super editable. I can do it ever. So I've been editing stuff around. I tried shoving it into the States. I've got that about half-assed done. It works for stuff like California. Like even with, I don't know how many people are on here. Let's say 100 and something people are on this list. It's almost everybody is like in California, New York, Florida. I know a whole bunch in Arizona, so I think that's artificial, but we got a lot in Arizona. There's some in Texas, and then a couple other states have more than one. Otherwise, it's fairly distributed, 1 or 2 in each state. But then you get to like places like Connecticut, there just happens to be like 17 things in Connecticut, plus Connecticut, it's tiny. Like our county is bigger than Connecticut. Rhode Island has 1, but I can't fit it in there. New Jersey has a couple, but again, it's too tiny on an actual map to fit them. So these people are all going to be hanging out, in the ocean somehow, even if I tried to do it as a state thing. So there's just no way to do it spatially. And then there's really no rhyme or reason because like Illinois has Ida, right, from back in 1882. And then it's got Rhonda from 2017. So we're talking a spread of 120, 30 years. which I guess is cool. I mean, it's kind of neat. But when there's 8 things going on in the state and they spread like that, it just, I don't know. So I haven't figured it out. I'm still looking, still efforting on it. I could, I guess, pull things out. That's not my goal. I want to have even more stuff in here. But if I pull stuff out, then it gets simpler. Guns was talking, or Guns of Barbecue was talking about the version 1. The version 1 only has like maybe 80 people in it. So, and it has the stalk going up the middle and it's branched out like a tree. With fewer people, if I only tried to focus on a fewer number of elements, it can look like a tree, because I'm gonna guess there's like a lot fewer things, right? So easier to make branches and to have things sitting there. But when something happens and 8 things happen that same year, you know, those branches start getting pretty heavy. Tree of Liberty. Yeah, well, and then the other portion of the tree part is the timeline. So if you watch, it goes from 1800, because we have to start in 1791, right? You got the Second Amendment, that's the beginning of it all. We do have a Militia Act in 1792 and then one in 1862. So we got 100 years there, and the only thing that really happens in there is Ida, because everything else happens after the Militia Act's 1862. So at least everything I know of. You got basically some hardcore chicks doing stuff back in the day. You got the guys that create the NRA. There's probably other stuff that happened. Some books and stuff got written, but few. Not, I mean, we just didn't talk about it. It was like talking about shovels and shit. Nobody talked about guns back then, unless it was maybe gunsmithing or something. So then in 1903, you get the Militia Acts, which create basically all the state level organizations and the Guard, the reserves and stuff. So so then you start to see a little spurt, and then it isn't until the 50s when you start to see organizations kick up. And I don't have every attack on us here, but one of the attacks on us, or the attacks of us, have come in waves, and one of the waves of attack has been on hunting. So I suspect some of this stuff that happens in the 60s is a result of an attack on hunting. Hunters shouldn't exist. Like, the Second Amendment isn't about hunting. Well, the reason people talk about the Second Amendment and hunting is because back in the day they tried to say there is no correlation. The Second Amendment is for the militia, not for you hunters. You shouldn't be able to own guns. And they started saying, wait a minute. And then you see organizations sprout up for the industry, for the media, and then for collectors groups and whatnot. So, and it wasn't like, hey, we need to save the Second Amendment. It was like, hey, we need to save hunting. Because no one was saying, let's take the Second Amendment. They were just saying, you don't have a right to hunt anymore. And then you get 1968 where they're like, wait a minute, you don't have the right to own guns anymore either. And then you get all the national level organizations start up. Those guys are all dying. So the people that started that are at the end of their lifespans. They're effectively at the end of their working spans. Most of these people have dropped off the day-to-day operations already. And you get the wave from the 80s, which is the repercussions, right? You get the initial you get the initial wave of resistance, and then you get all the people going, no, you're doing it wrong. So they redo it, and then you get the 90s, you get all kinds of different stuff happening, and this is where it starts to get crazy diverse. So that's how it becomes really tough to do a tree, because almost nothing happens down here. And then everything happens from 1990 on. So it really looks like a crazy manicured tree or whatever, like where it has like a stalk and then everything. And that's, I mean, crazy waste of paper. Why build a piece of paper with 60 or 30% white space? Angelina would like that because she's trying to sell me white paper, but
Yep.
I want ink on there. I want every piece of it to be ink. But no, that's the main thing. Is it's just, I don't think it's effective to show scale of time. So I really had to compress this in crazy ways to even, this doesn't really make any sense once you start looking at it, because 1934, 1953, like, I'm kind of, you know, if I was to draw a line, it would be down to this. That's why I didn't draw any lines, because I don't think they would add anything. It would just be confusing. So I don't know. And I don't know what the point of this is. It's, you know, at this point, it might be useful for somebody who's just trying to keep track of it all, or maybe for like some kind of homeschooling where you just wanted to throw at a kid, you know, the amount of shit that's out there, but there's not enough rhyme or reason. Like it's not effective. So that's where, you know, I'm not satisfied with it. But we are at least accumulating all of the entities. And once I can get the arrangement part out, hopefully it'll show the diversity and the, you know, the number of people that have participated, and then, you know, the where they're at. And I don't know if I can get some information in here once people have a chance to actually look at it a little bit. I think again, some of the scale will come through of it all. And then one of my other pieces, which is going to be tough, is to add in this list things like when they got concealed carry or when the state got open carry. It's not that big a list, but it's a list. So that'll end up being a lot of stuff here that I don't know if it'll be effective or not, but I'm going to try adding it and see what it looks like. But the goal is to give people from this view an awareness of like, this isn't a brand new fight. It's not like this just started and Bloomberg can be as big as he wants. And you can't buy what this has created and with the potential we've got. And then once you get in, like I say, with a little bit of blurb, a little bit of paragraph, it'll be hopefully super useful in the poster size. But I don't know what for, maybe a gun shop or something. Again, if it can be something that catches the eye at this scale and then has ultimate detail and info at this level, you know, little blurbs that explain, but from this level, get you to look at it. I don't care if I make $1 from the poster if it gets people inspired. So ideally, we'll get something that attracts the eye, gets people to look at it, and then to understand, oh shit, there's been a lot of people in this fight, you know, and not give people the idea that like, oh, look at all these superheroes, I don't have to do shit. Hopefully give people the idea that like, oh dang, this is just a lot of regular people. There's no Bloombergs out here. There's no Magnum PIs or what's that guy from Planet of the Apes? You know, they didn't do shit. These people did it. Anyway, so I'm going to leave it there. I'll let Alan Anchor fill in all those goals. Like they'll accomplish that with their printing style and technique. They'll use the right color. You'll use the right color inks to make people like that'll inspire the right tint.
Is that Brandon from FPC right there?
I've never met him, so it's from a picture. And these first ones here are the ones that have all like the shading and the wrinkles and shit are from when I was first learning how to do this. So I'm super lazy, so I've never gone back and ever edited one ever. So this is probably like one of the first 12 I made. And I've never met the guy. He ended up looking black originally, and then I lightened him up because it turns out I don't think he is black.
I'm surprised you've never met him.
Never met him. I've met Craig a billion times. He goes around doing stuff. I've seen him, and I mean, I don't even know how many states. I can't ever think. 8 states I've seen Brandon in, and I've met Craig in like 8 different states. I know Craig from like, you know, he'll say, hey, when we see each other. This guy I've never met. I've never met this guy. I've seen these guys, but never met him. I don't know if he's alive. I've never met him. Met him, I guess. I've met at least half if the people that are still alive, I've met 70% of the people in here, I think. Can't meet these people, they're dead. I've met one of these guys. And I never met, what's his face? This guy. I don't even know if I've ever been in a room with this guy, other than being in an auditorium. Maybe if he was in an auditorium with me, I wouldn't know. But,
you know, you're not that close to him.
What?
Is that Wayne?
Yeah, Wayne LaPierre, sorry.
No. Good old
I think I've all the doctors. Anyway, so huh?
Was that Heller over there? No.
Heller, I have the shittiest picture ever of Heller. It looks like he's dead or something. I don't know what I did. I couldn't find a picture and I was in the middle of drawing stuff, so I'm not saying these are good. They exist.
That looks good. I like the font you picked for the years in blue right there.
What?
I like that font.
This one on the left here.
Yeah, what is that?
I've used it before, but I don't remember. It's one of the few that gives me. It's kind of like Signboard, but it gives me a lowercase. I think. Like I don't like them where they're like this and everything's capitalized all the time. So I'm pretty sure it's one that gives me a lower. I could tell you, I just don't remember off the top of my head. I finally figured out you can star things. So now all of a sudden I use like the same, dozen fonts instead of randomly just picking a font every single time. So that every one of my fonts are different every time I do something.
And then trying to remember what you picked.
Well, or just, I used to have this more of an issue, but yeah, like use some font because I'll just go randomly, like, oh, I'm going to go look for fonts one afternoon because I need some font or I have some bug in my butt to go get a new font. So I'll just find fonts on the internet and put them on my computer and then forget that I stuck them in there and they're not just there. And then, yeah, use them randomly in some project. And then, of course, that's the project I need to send somewhere. And they're like, oh, we don't have this font. And I'm like, what do you mean? What the fuck? And then I figure out that it's, the software was pointing to some font on my computer that they don't have. And I don't know what, then it becomes a process. So I don't do that anymore. I try not to go find fonts except for like that highway one. I think I really like that highway one that looks like the road signs.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of really good highway ones, but that one's really nice. I do like that.
It just gives you a nice space. I don't know. But anyway, folks, you were talking about it earlier, but fonts are like one of the big fads for now, like playing with fonts and doing fonty stuff. I tried doing it on the patch batch with, instead of doing anything visual on the main picture, I just did 2 fonts or 3 fonts or 2 fonts, I think, 3 colors. And, that's my like old FUD way of addressing the font fad or whatever. But I think the way to do it for real right now would be like woodcut, doing some kind of elaborate woodcut thing, or maybe some kind of a fake printing press type of effect that looks like an old engraved, I guess, type of press.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, well, we've been chatting for an hour. I did want to talk about this poster a little bit and throw it out there for anybody who ends up watching this to throw some ideas in there. Keeping in mind, these are little groups now. I can move each one of these around. I guess I probably should have had a couple of versions of this to look at. I don't think I ever printed out the state one I was talking about. If I open this in, I keep forgetting what this software is called. Yeah, Photos. This is the less detailed one or the simpler one that I'd come up with first. Oh, is this the shittiest picture ever or what? I guess it is. So obviously you don't see many details here, but I had circles and they looked weird to me. So that's when I changed them out for the state shapes. I made them smaller and subtler. But I had the tree going up the center there with less items, right? I have quite a few less items, so it was less information. And it gave that tree look. And then, like I say, the branches just came out based on, this order of time or whatever. But there was like no rhyme or reason. Like Alan Gottlieb sitting over here next to the NRA ILA, but the rest of the NRAs over here, like really those should probably be on the same side. Just because they're kind of related to each other. But, I wanted to have, you can't really tell here, but that's Neil Knox, who was part of the ILA, creating the ILA, but then he was dissatisfied, kind of got pushed out of the NRA and created the Firearms Coalition with his kids taking over the reign on that. So I had him sort of overlap to 2 circles there. That worked with that sort of design. Of course, that can't happen with this so easily. But this tree already was still wasting a lot of space. Angelina loves this poster. Look at all that white stuff. She gets paid every time she sells me white paper. And I make money every time there's extra ink everywhere on that page. So that's the nuts and bolts of this whole thing.
I do really like that poster, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay.
It looks cool.
I think this with state shapes, and I could still go back and just edit those blobs to be shapes, and I'd probably be a lot more satisfied with it. But my main thing is it's missing so many people. Like it's missing a ton of people that are valid and stuff. This is just all I knew or all I had cartoons of really at the time. So the tree didn't work. It wasn't my favorite thing. It didn't use enough of the page. So I went with this snake sort of timeline, which might work with the state shape still, and kind of gives you an idea of the waves and the surges and stuff. And it's 100% kind of chronological. So there's no, if there are any groups together, it's because they all came on the scene at the same time. It has nothing to do with me deciding to put all the females together, for example, right? It's the females, if they are in a group this way, it's because they all came on board at the same time, which is another interesting facet, another interesting layer of knowledge to get across in a visual, right? But this crazy line, even if you do realize that it's a line, which I'm not sure people would right off the bat, it's starting at the bottom, which I don't know is great for the way we read, and it's just not perfect. And it still uses some white space in order to make sure that you see that there's a line there. So then I went with this, which is starting at the top, like we read, and going across, and then starting again and going across, starting again and going across, just using those lines to indicate these are sort of like lines on a page that you're reading. So it's just starting here and going like this all the time. This filled the page the most, but when I did my, I asked Patreons and people which ones they liked the best. Everybody liked the tree. Nobody gave a shit about this one, and I don't think that many people like this one either, really. So the tree is certainly the more popular. I don't know if that's just because that's what we're used to, or if that really gets the information across, or it's just a little more visually appealing. And I think that's a piece of it, right? It's like, what's visually appealing from across the room?
Yeah, the tree looks really, I don't know, it just makes you want to look at it. But that middle one was pretty cool too.
With the snakes yet? I don't know. There's got to be something. I keep looking at different ways that people address it, and like this one worked pretty good, but damn, there's nothing on it. There's like, it's like so sparse. There's nothing there. It would be neat to do this. Oh shit. Oh shit. What if I did a tree and then did a GIF or whatever it's called where it cycles through? So I use another element and I use fourth dimensions of time. It wouldn't be ideal because it would only work when people can watch it on a viewer that can see the time happen. But I could do one that's like everything and then basically have layers for either time or area of interest, whatever. And then basically I could cycle through time and things would just show up and kind of grow the tree. And then I could have it flash between like 2A, state level, interest, safety, female. Like I might do something like that. Keep working on it. And if anybody's got any ideas, that's why we do this stuff live. Some people do all this shit behind the scenes and either struggle or do it easy. And then all you get is the final product. Here you go. Here's your final product. Pay me. I prefer to do this stuff live so that anybody who's questioning whether or not they should contribute or can contribute understand that none of this stuff just happens. There's either somebody knows this stuff and they struggle and they figure it out, or they pay somebody to figure it out. But nothing just happens with a snap of the finger. And you can either sit there and watch it happen or be part of it. And this channel, this show is to encourage you to be part of it. I'm leaving. Angela, you want to say anything before we head out?
No.
Right on. Thanks for joining in. It's always good to have people in the show, especially when people from behind enemy lines come in and we can talk about something than all the horrible shit. Talk a little about something hopefully positive tonight. And I'm looking for some insight, so be part of it. If you're listening to this later, use the comments down there. We'll be back to pick up later.